Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Elan's Matchup Maximizer podcast presented by Keeping Karlsson, where I, Elan Dubrovsky, look to the following week for your head-to-head matchup to try to recommend teams with good schedules to help you win those matchups. The goal here is we're trying to get every single game that we can from good players, hopefully to give you an edge over your opponents. And finally, we've got a nice normal schedule coming up, so I'm going to dive right into it here for you. Next week, we're back to it's a 1 week matchup. And, the All-Star break is behind us, and we can just focus. And it's also just a nice, typical schedule. We've got, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. Those are the busiest days. But thankfully, Tuesday and Thursday aren't even so busy. On Tuesday, we've got 18 teams playing. Thursday, we've got 16 teams playing. Saturday's a busy one, 26 teams playing. So you're not going to be streaming someone in for Saturday unless you actually have an open spot on your roster. In terms of you only have 3 defensemen and your league carries 4 defensemen. So obviously you can stream in a D on Saturday, but likely all of your active spots are going to be filled. But yeah, for Tuesday, Thursday, you probably could stream someone in. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday are the lighter days, but they're actually not so light compared to this week. You have at least 5 or 6 games on each of those days. You'll have lots of options to choose from. So yeah, it's a pretty good week for streaming. I'd say aside from Saturday, you're probably able, if you're fitting in one player, I'll bet you'll be able to fit that player in for all of their games aside from the Saturday games. So let's take a look at which teams have the best schedules, the teams we're going to want to target. I'm going to say that the top 3 teams are going to be the 3 teams playing 4 times next week, not including Saturday. So there's 3 teams that do that where you're almost for sure going to be able to get all of their games. Tuesday, like I said, is a little bit busy. There's 18 teams playing. There's only one team that plays 4 times and not on Tuesday or Saturday, and that's the Minnesota Wild. So I guess that's got to be the team with the best schedule. Minnesota plays 4 times on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. The thing with Minnesota, though, is, I don't know, are they a good team for streaming? I feel like they do have some players that are less than 50% rostered on Yahoo. Probably your top bet right now, if he's still out there, is Ryan Hartman, who's back playing on the top line with Kaprizov and Zuccarello. I don't know how long it's going to last. He hasn't been so amazing. He did score a goal today, I should say, in the win over New Jersey. So maybe that's the start of something. So yeah, he's available in 75% of Yahoo leagues. So he might be out there for you. If you can't get Hartman and you want a Minnesota guy, I don't know. There's not really anyone that's jumping out at me as especially exciting. No one's hot right now or doing anything that special. You've got Foligno, Gaudreau, and Greenway is a line that gets a lot of ice time, but none of them are really doing too much of anything. There's always Kalen Addison, I guess, on D, who did pick up an assist today, but you're likely going to get 1 assist every 2 or 3 games. So I don't know if that's enough for you, and hardly any peripherals. So yeah, I don't know. I'm letting you know about Minnesota, but also I'm going to tell you that there's no one too exciting if you can't get a top liner or a top power play guy. And the only one that's likely available could be, like I said, Ryan Hartman. Aside from Minnesota, we do have 2 other teams playing 4 times, not including Saturday. So if you could fit someone on Tuesday, just as good, maybe even better. Starting in Ottawa, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. I love a good Monday, Tuesday to start the week if you can fit in both games, because you could always reassess after that. And Ottawa, unlike Minnesota, I feel like they've got a lot of interesting options for us, because the Sens have been rolling with 3 lines of a pair of 2 good players and then a fill-in. And those fill-ins, those are who we're looking for. All right. So on one line, we've got DeBrincat, Claude Giroux, and Ridley Gregg. And Ridley Gregg is someone who just had a point today. On Saturday in the loss to Edmonton, he picked up an assist. I love that deployment. He's also on one of the power play units with Giroux, Pinto, Brassard, and was Jake Sanderson. He's injured now, unfortunately. He would have been a really good streamer, by the way. Jake Sanderson really heating up. Hopefully he's not out for too long. But yeah, he got hurt in this game, which is annoying because I just streamed him in one of my leagues for this Monday, Tuesday, and now already he's going on the IR. So, bummer. I don't know if he's going on the IR. We'll have to see. But yeah, he's injured. But anyways, back to Ridley Gregg. He's good, but probably the hottest player actually is the guy playing on the line with Kachuk and Tim Stützle, and that's Matthew Joseph. So really, I was a bad host host here. I should have led it off with Joseph, only rostered in 1% of leagues, but with Monday, Tuesday, I would definitely give him a shot. Joseph had an assist today. He had a couple assists way back in Ottawa's previous game on January 31st versus Montreal. He also scored a goal in the previous game before that versus Montreal. And hey, like all I have to tell you is those line mates, right? Kachuk and Stutzla, you're going to want the guy playing with him. He's not getting power play time, Matthew Joseph, but he's on a really nice hot run right now. Points in 3 straight, like I've said. So he's definitely someone I would look to target. And then I mean, I could say like, and if those two are rostered, yeah, you could go with someone playing with Drake Batherson. I'd be pretty surprised if you're in a league where Greg and Matthew Joseph are both rostered. But yeah, there is Shane Pinto playing with Batherson and Derek Brassard. Pinto and Brassard are two guys that we've seen for a while, not doing too much. So I'm not especially excited. I'd go with Pinto ahead of Brassard if you want to get those Monday, Tuesdays. But yeah, I think definitely Matthew Joseph and Ridley Gregg are your exciting options over in Ottawa. On defense, by the way, if Sanderson is out, you could like go for another defenseman that's not Shabbat. I'm not exactly sure who. Like Eric Brandstrom scored a goal today, but he's quiet pretty often, so probably not going to recommend him. So yeah, those are two of the teams, Ottawa, Minnesota. Then you have Chicago, the other team that's playing 4 times, not including Saturday. Chicago goes Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. By the way, I didn't mention the matchups. Ottawa's matchups on Monday and Tuesday are Calgary and the Islanders. So if Calgary plays Markstrom, he's had some struggles. Islanders, if they go Sorokin, that's a little bit harder. And then Chicago and St. Louis on Friday, Sunday. So those are teams that Ottawa should definitely be able to score against. So that makes the Ottawa stream even more enticing. Minnesota, not as friendly. Florida, Colorado, Dallas, and Nashville. And yeah, Chicago, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So you could potentially get a 5-game week from that roster spot. You could get someone else who plays Monday, drop that person for a Chicago player, and you get that Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Unfortunately, though, it is Chicago, so it's not as if the exciting options are super duper plentiful. But still, like outs, like a lot of their players are available, right? Like Max Domi went on a hot run. Now he's like a bit cold. He's like pointless in his last 3 games. The problem with Max Domi, of course, is that he's off the Patrick Kane line, the one spot where he was kind of hot. Kane's been centered by Jason Dickinson recently. Him and Tyler Johnson have been the line mates with Patrick Kane. Not that even like Patrick Kane has been especially good. So I don't even know. Like obviously you're not dropping Patrick Kane, but you're not going to be able to stream him in. But he's less exciting in terms of like, yeah, grab Dickinson or grab Tyler Johnson just because they're playing with Patrick Kane. Tyler Johnson every once in a while does get a point. Like he's actually one of the more productive players on Chicago this season when he's healthy. He gets injured a lot though. Be prepared to add Tyler Johnson and then have him just miss time for you. Jason Dickinson, I don't know. He had a 1 goal, 1 assist game a little while back against Anaheim. Honestly, like I wish I could give you like a really good recommendation from Chicago. Maybe like Taylor Radish, someone he's playing with Domi and Kurashev. And Radish is also on that top power play with Kane, Domi, Tyler Johnson. So yeah, I guess like we're looking at Domi, Tyler Johnson, and Radish. Get someone that's on the top power play at least if you're going to stream someone from Chicago. And you're going to get a lot of games. I guess there's also Jonathan Taves, who's been out with like an illness for a while now. So I don't really get what the deal is with him. But if he comes back, then obviously he's someone that you can look at as well. I should mention in net, Jackson Stauber has played 3 games now and has won all 3 games. So he might get 3 games this week, right? I wouldn't be surprised if he gets Tuesday against Montreal. Yeah, throw Mrazek to Toronto on Wednesday. And then maybe Stauber gets Ottawa on Friday. And then it's again Toronto on Sunday. So if you need a goalie, he's probably available for you. And he's been doing well. But again, it's a Chicago stream. So buyer beware over there. So yeah, those are the 3 teams with probably the best schedules for you. Ottawa, by the way, is another opportunity to give you a 5-game week from a single roster spot, right? Because you can get the Monday, Tuesday games, and you can drop for someone playing 3 times between Wednesday and Sunday. There's actually a few teams here. You could drop for a Chicago person, like we said, or like Edmonton or Minnesota after the Monday, Tuesday, and get 3 more games, not including the Saturday. So if you want to really game it out, you can do that. But okay, the next up, I'd say for the teams with the best schedules after those first 3 would be the teams that play 3 games played by Friday. So then they play Saturday, but at least you get 3 games, and then you could reassess if you're going to already make a move for the following week after that, or you can drop for someone playing Sunday, or you can like maybe on the Saturday you have an open goalie spot or something. So I always like to get the teams that play games early in the weekend. So yeah, 3 times. So obviously it's the 3 teams I said above, like Ottawa, Minnesota, and Chicago. But yeah, 2 other teams that look interesting are Florida who go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So again, remember, you have to actually have an opening on Tuesday for this to be interesting to you. So ignore this if you could only get like Monday, Thursday. Then Florida, obviously not too exciting after the Monday game, maybe. And then you have Detroit, who goes Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So maybe they'll be more appealing for the people who have no availabilities on Tuesday. But yeah, Detroit and Florida both potentially could be good for you. As far as who you're going to go for, in Detroit, there might be some options because they've been shuffling around the lines quite a bit. So you're going to have to land on something that actually sticks. So maybe it's a bit of a guessing game here. But in the latest game, which was today versus Vancouver, where Detroit won 5-2. We saw two widely available options, or somewhat widely available options on the top line playing with Dylan Larkin. Tyler Bertuzzi, only 18% rostered on Yahoo, not only on the top line with Larkin, but also on the top power play. Bertuzzi picked up an assist in this game. Yeah, he's been pretty disappointing since coming back from his injury, but still, he's in a great spot. And like I said, you have a good schedule here. So I definitely wouldn't complain about getting Bertuzzi for this week against Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, and Seattle. Then Dominic Kubalik was also on that top line, not on the top power play. Kubalik's had hot and cold stretches before. Definitely a good chance that he could get bumped. But yeah, maybe someone to take a chance on, even though he's a bit cold right now. Jonathan Berggren. Is it Jonathan? Jonathan Berggren had a good game today against Vancouver, scoring 2 goals. He's been playing on a line with Veleno and David Perron. So, David Perron's really fallen. I don't know. If Perron's been dropped in your league, probably you grab him, even though he's been super cold. But like Bertuzzi, Perron has assists in his last 2 games. And not a great line, but he's on the top power play. So, you do have a few options over there on Detroit. So, I guess, pick and choose. I'd say my top picks would be Bertuzzi, maybe then Perron. Then Kubalik, maybe then Berggren, who's coming off a good game. The other team playing 3 times before Saturday is Florida, like I mentioned. And Florida is a tough team to stream from just because a lot of their good players are already rostered, like Kachuk, Barkov, Ekblad, Montour, Reinhardt, Verhaeghe, Forsling, Bennett, probably all taken. Anton Lundell continues to play on the top line with Barkov and Reinhardt. We'll see how long that lasts. Florida did just lose 5-3 to Colorado today. But Lundell did pick up an assist that's his 3rd assist in his last 4 games. So he's probably a good stream, especially get that Monday, Tuesday, just like Ottawa, get the Monday, Tuesday. You could always then drop him for someone that'll give you 3 games. You get 5 games out of that roster spot. Always a good thing to do. Also, if Anthony Duclair is available to you right now, maybe grab him, stash him, and he might get into your roster at some point. Apparently he's been practicing, could be back sometime soon. That's pretty much it. Unfortunately, maybe since it's a Monday, Tuesday, maybe you'll be able to get a Spencer Knight game, who's apparently healthy, but hasn't played yet since coming back from his injury. By the way, I should mention, speaking of goalie pickups in Ottawa, Anton Forsberg got hurt in this game against Edmonton today. Jake Sanderson wasn't the only one who got hurt. Cam Talbot already hurt, so you might want to look at Mads Sogard as a pickup in Ottawa if you want to get in on. He'll probably play Monday against Calgary. We'll see what happens for Tuesday against the Islanders. But yes, as far as goalies go, those are some good streams there. Anyway, we still have a few more teams with good schedules that I want to get to, and I'll also talk about some bad schedules, and then I'll end with some potential Sunday savers for people who are still in their matchups and want to know who to grab just for tomorrow. So I'll be back in just a sec for the second half of Matchup Maximizer. All right, we are back. And when I say we, I mean me, because I'm alone here. This is Elan doing my best to give you some good info on a Sunday morning. And I've talked about some teams like Ottawa, Minnesota, and Chicago who play 4 times, not including Saturday. Then I talked about some teams playing 3 times by Friday, which are those 3, and then also Detroit and Florida. Then maybe the next thing to look at, maybe just, again, sticking with my strategy of grabbing these teams that play early in the week, and then you could always move on from them. If you want to start the week with a good stream, maybe some teams playing 2 games by Wednesday, and then also Sunday and Saturday. So the 4, to make this clear, these are teams that play 4 times, and 2 of them by Wednesday, and then also a Sunday for you. That's Arizona and Colorado, along with the teams above. But assuming you've decided not to grab one of them, Arizona and Colorado are definitely also teams with good schedules this week. Arizona goes Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday at Nashville, and then against Tampa Bay to start the week. Maybe Nashville gives Lankinen another game at some point, which might be a little bit easier to score against rather than UC Saros. Arizona coming off a big win today where they came back versus St. Louis, finally to lose in overtime, but definitely a really strong effort, scoring 5 goals, which means a lot of players got in on them. And of course, the 2 biggest names are Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Nick Schmaltz still 20% rostered only in Yahoo. I feel like, well, it's like, what can I say at this point? I've been saying on a lot of shows over the past couple of months, like, grab Nick Schmaltz if you can get him. I think he's really, he just had 1 goal and 3 assists in this game against St. Louis. He had 1 goal and assist in the last game versus Chicago. And now Arizona has a good schedule this coming week. So if he's available, he's probably the guy I take number 1. If I'm doing a summary right now of all my best streamers, I don't know, who have I like? Matthew Joseph looked kind of interesting over in Ottawa. Hartman in Minnesota, if you can get him. But yeah, definitely Nick Schmaltz I'd like above all those guys. Also Lawson Krause. He's back from his injury, scored a goal today versus St. Louis and took 6 shots, so he'd be my next pick there. After that, Chychrun looks like he's on his way out. He was scratched in the game today versus St. Louis because of an impending trade. With Gostisbehere still injured, maybe you look to the D if you need D in the short term. Looks like Juuso Välimäki got the majority of power play time in the game today against St. Louis. And Välimäki is on a nice little hot run. 3 assists today in this loss to St. Louis. And then he had an assist in each of his previous 2 games. So yeah, maybe this is more than just a stream for as long as Gostisbehere is out and Chychrun's not going to play. You might want to look at the new top power play quarterback in Juuso Välimäki. I mean, this is only the first game that he's had top power play. But so who knows if maybe JJ Moser gets another chance at some point. But yeah, for now, definitely Välimäki, also an interesting stream over in Arizona. Then I think I said another team, Colorado. So, at this point, probably a lot of Colorado people are rostered in your league, especially after I did last week's episode where I talked about how Colorado has a really great playoff schedule. So I'm not sure who exactly you're going to be able to stream in at this point. I guess you have JT Compher, who was pretty cold, but did have 2 assists today versus Florida. So yeah, get Compher if you can get him to get the Tuesday, Wednesday games and probably just drop before Saturday. If you need D, like Sam Girard has started to heat up a little bit. He has, what is this already? Like 6 points his last 6 games. Yeah, so look at him, just like a few seasons ago when he was looking like a real winner in fantasy before he kind of disappeared for the last couple of years. So I guess those would be my 2 picks. If you could get Bowen Byram, I would grab him for sure. He's already rostered in 55% of leagues, so he's probably not out there for you, but he's come back really strong from his injury. Okay, so moving on, let's give you a few more teams to potentially look at. Obviously, you're just going to want to look at the schedule yourself. Frozen Tools has a good schedule tool. I made one over at keepingkarlsson.com/tools. So let's look at teams playing 2 games by Wednesday. But then only a Saturday game. So basically the same as what I just told you before, but those teams also, Arizona and Colorado, also played Sunday. Just to get those 2 games by Wednesday, and then you'll probably drop because you won't have room for Saturday. We're looking at Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and Vancouver. On Vancouver, if you can get Anthony Beauvillier, he's been getting top power play deployment and has looked pretty good since moving on from the Islanders. He's still only rostered in 6% of leagues. He just had a goal and an assist in the loss to Detroit on Saturday today, so he would definitely be a nice streamer if you can get him. I'd take him over someone like a Connor Garland who's rostered in more leagues, over a Podkolzin who for some reason is rostered in a lot more leagues. So yeah, I might even at this point consider Beauvillier over Kuzmenko, who's been super cold lately, really low ice time. If you have Kuzmenko, you might be thinking, I'll just give him the Monday, Wednesday. But honestly, if Beauvillier is out there, maybe it's time to just make that swap. So I don't know. That's not really the point of this podcast to tell you, Brian and I will talk about Kuzmenko definitely tomorrow on the Mega Show. We'll go into his cold streak and whether he's worth holding. I'll just say that right now, I think the top ad in Vancouver is clearly Anthony Beauvillier. Then Tampa Bay, looks like Alex Killorn is doing that thing again where sometimes he gets hot. 2 assists today versus Dallas. He also had 3 assists in the previous game versus Colorado. Killorn's been playing on a line with Cirelli and Brandon Hagel, so Tampa's been loading up the top line. Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, leaving Killorn, Cirelli, and Hagel to kind of play together. So maybe that's good. Like Hagel's been so good this year that maybe Killorn actually is getting a nice upgrade. Obviously it'd be better if he was playing with Stamkos. But yeah, definitely if you want to grab a Tampa Bay guy, Killorn would be someone to look at. And then Cirelli also available in a lot of leagues. And he's doing okay too. So yeah, you could do a lot worse than one of those guys to get the Tuesday, Wednesday games against Colorado and Arizona. And then the third team that I mentioned there playing 2 times early on is the Buffalo Sabres. So Buffalo, I guess at this point we know the drill. There's the top line and there's Dylan Cousins. Those are the guys who are rostered all over and you're not going to be able to get him. And then obviously Dahlin. And then after that, I mean, Victor Olofsson has got to be the guy that I have to mention. He had an assist today. He went a little bit cold. He was going like crazy, scoring all those goals before, which has, dropped his percent rostered back to 19%. But it looks like Olofsson is still getting decent enough deployment, playing with, like, the line mates don't look that great, Tyson Jost and Casey Middlesex, but he's getting good ice time, Olofsson. So that's obviously useful for him to get points. And I think he'd be the one that I'd recommend. I don't really see anyone else to jump on in Buffalo. I guess you can go Owen Power. But, I think you could do better if we're just looking at a Monday, Wednesday anyways. So those are probably the best schedules of the week. Hopefully you'll find someone there to help you. As far as the worst schedules go, we've got a couple teams that play 2 times, including Saturday. It's Philly and Vegas. Both play Thursday, Saturday. So you're going to wait all the way till Thursday just to get a game, and then probably you won't even be able to fit that streamer in on Saturday. So obviously you're not adding anyone from Philly and Vegas, and you're probably considering whether to drop some of your players. Like there was that time when Scott Lawton was like the person to roster. He was like really going off. Now he's doing okay. He has like 2 assists in his last 4 games, but I think at this point you can probably drop Scott Lawton. Honestly, like Konechny is super cold, but I'm not going to drop him. But definitely Brian and I will talk about Konechny on the Mega Show and what's going on with him. I probably wouldn't drop D'Angelo. I probably wouldn't drop Kevin Hayes, who's scored in at least his last couple games. But I think aside from that, everyone I think is on the table. Owen Tippett, maybe time to let him go and maybe get him back later. I like Owen Tippett, but not with the schedule. Morgan Frost, all these guys. I think you can drop pretty much all of them. Yeah, except for Konechny, D'Angelo, and Hayes. I think you can let all the other Flyers go. That includes Provorov. And then with Vegas, I mean, yeah, similar story. We've got a couple guys that you're obviously holding. You're holding Eichel. You're holding Pietrangelo and Theodore. You're holding Marchessault. After that, I don't know. Chandler Stevenson is starting to do stuff again, I guess. Maybe you hold him, but I'll bet you could get, in a lot of leagues, you get away with dropping him and then try to get him back next week. Riley Smith, William Karlsson, these types of guys, you raise your eye when they get dropped in your league, but also with Vegas' schedule. I mean, Riley Smith is kind of hot lately, so it'd be a bit of a bold move, but still, I would consider even letting him go. If you're in a matchup that you need to win, we're near the playoffs, you got to make some bold moves here, and it's not going to help you to have a game on Thursday from Riley Smith, and then you're benching him on Saturday. So something to consider. Then you have Anaheim. They only play twice, but at least it's Wednesday, Friday, so you'll get both of those games. Plus also, since it's 2 games by Friday, there's a lot of teams that play like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So really it's the same. Just get those 2 games. Don't drop your Anaheim guy early, I would say, unless it was someone you were planning on dropping anyways. And then, on Saturday, you can reassess if you want to drop that person. Maybe at that point, you don't care about the result of this week. And, if you look towards the following week coming up, so this week is the up till February 19th. The following week from the 20th to 26th, Anaheim plays 4 times. So you might end up deciding that you want to hold this person. So yeah, I'll leave it to you. I'm sure if you have like Mason McTavish or something, you're wondering if it's worth holding. He was already looking kind of droppable, but he did have a goal and assist versus Pittsburgh in the last game. We'll see how he does on Sunday, the day you're listening to this podcast. Cam Fowler, another, I don't know. I streamed him in for this week for a really good schedule, and of course he's done nothing when he was like super hot before that. So that's what I get for streaming in Cam Fowler. Of course, I only have myself to blame. All right, so that's the schedules for next week, the week of February 13th to February 19th. I wish you all luck in your matchups. I like to end with a quick Sunday savior here. So let's just take a quick look at some players available for today's games on Sunday, February 12th. If you're in a close matchup, these are some people that might be able to help you out. And I'll just take a look at who's hot in the last little while that's playing. I guess I should tell you the games here. Edmonton is against Montreal, Seattle against Philly. These are all early games, by the way. Edmonton, Montreal, 12:30 Eastern, Seattle, Philly at 1. So you're going to have to listen to this pretty quickly. Hopefully, it might be too late by the time you've listened to this. Then San Jose versus Washington at 1:30, and then Anaheim versus Vegas at 3. I guess they don't want to have any games going up against the Super Bowl. Come on, have some guts. Maybe some people don't want to watch football. Maybe they want to watch some hockey. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So the players that are most interesting to me, Alex Barabanov is hot again for the Sharks. He continues to get that good deployment. He has points in 3 straight games, just scored against Florida in his last game. So if you could get Barabanov, he seems like a good stream. There's a few Montreal guys that have been looking good lately. Raphael Harvey Pinard is playing on the top line with Suzuki and Josh Anderson. Anderson. So I Anderson. Anderson and Harvey Pinard could be guys that you're looking at. Harvey Pinard is a guy that I just like to say because it's like someone we hadn't heard of before just a couple weeks ago, but he keeps getting points. He had an assist in this game today versus the Islanders. He had 2 goals versus Ottawa in the previous game. He's getting top line deployment. He even hits a lot. So that's really exciting. Then, yeah, Josh Anderson. Well, you know what you're getting with Josh Anderson. He's also kind of hot right now. So why not give him a shot? You know what? I might even be bold and say I'll take Anderson over Harvey Pinard. But yeah, I'm even being so disrespectful because I didn't even say his name right there. Raphael Harvey Pinard. I'm going to remember this forever now. Also, Mike Hoffman, out of nowhere, starting to really produce. He's on a line with Zadonov and Kirby Dach, and Dach has 3 assists in the game today versus the Islanders, and he also had a goal and assist in the game before versus Ottawa, 6 shots in that game versus Ottawa, and 4 shots in each of the games before that. So those are some 3 Montreal players that could be interesting to you. Aside from that, you know, I don't need to go through every game. I think I'm going to tell you, those are the streamers that I'm interested in for these games. You've got your typical slew of Seattle guys that might be available to you, your Eberleys or your, even like at this point, Beniers, I have seen dropped in a lot of leagues because he's super cold. Brian and I will talk about him, another cold streak. That's kind of interesting on tomorrow's show because he's someone that at one point was having such a great season. But yeah, you have your typical Seattles that you could stream in there. And then, yeah, Philly. I mean, I already mentioned that you could drop a lot of these people, but I guess you hold them for Sunday, or you add them for one game, then you'll drop the Philly player after that. I guess same with Vegas, who's also playing. So yeah, I'm with Anaheim. You know, if you can get a Vetrano, maybe that could be interesting. Klingberg, if he's out there, and then Washington. Actually, Marcus Johansson has been kind of hot lately, so he's someone I would take a look at over on the Caps because he's been getting top power play deployment. So hopefully one of those names will come through for you and help you win your matchup on Sunday. But that is it for me. Hope you enjoyed this edition of the Matchup Maximizer. Would love to hear your feedback. Tweet at Keeping Karlsson. If you were a patron of Keeping Karlsson, thank you so much for all of your support and helping us get all these shows out. And yeah, let me know on the Discord what you thought of the show. And if you agree or disagree with any of my opinions here, we have a channel called Matchup Maximizer where we can chat about everything that I discussed here. So that's it for me. Oh, Al, by the way, we've got a lot of big shows coming out, right? We got the Sunday mega show and then a couple short shifts next week. Oh, maybe actually Tuesday there might not be a short shifts, I should mention, because of Valentine's Day. Our regular hosts all have plans. I might just knock out a show kind of like this, but I'll see if I can get away with that. So I'm not sure what's going to happen on Tuesday, but then there'll definitely be Thursday and then a Matchup Maximizer and another mega show next week. So make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Google, Spotify. Please, it helps us a lot if you subscribe to the show and not just pick and choose. But with that, I will bid you adieu. Good luck, and looking forward to getting in your ears again for the mega show on Sunday night. Until then, get those games played and get those wins.